listening to the Patriot Nation Podcast.
All right, welcome into another edition of the Patriot Nation Podcast. As always, a proud member of the CLNS group of podcasts. Make sure you download and subscribe to all of the great shows on there. Of course, the Patriots Press Pass YouTube account, but also everywhere else. We got football. We got hockey season and basketball season coming up as well. So make sure you subscribe to all of the great shows on the CLNS network. But tonight, it's your boy Pat Lane here with my man Matt St. Jean, and here we are, Matt. Breaking down a win on Sunday Night Football against the Bills. What a night it was last night. What a night.
Well, and I said I thought the Patriots had a real chance in this one, and the two teams, I think, played pretty evenly throughout. I mean, the big differences here, it's turnovers for Buffalo and lack of ability to capitalize in the red zone, I think, for New England. Those two kind of a wash. Comes down to who has the ball last, and what I think was, generally speaking, a well-played game outside of just a crazy amount of penalties between the two teams.
Yes, I would agree. I almost forgot what it felt like to watch a game like that, to have my heart pumping the whole time, to see two really good teams going at it, and to feel like we had an actual chance at competing against, what is an elite team in the NFL. And it was so much fun. And now today, I have to tell you, seeing all the Bills fans complaining about the refs and just making up, just making the fact that they're complaining about the pass the non-defensive pass interference on Christian Gonzalez in the last play. It's just like, are you kidding me? How, like, you literally have to stop it frame by frame. He gets there one frame early. That's never called ever. He's basically there as the ball's getting there. That's as clean as you can possibly get it. And the fact that they're complaining about it is hilarious, and it gives me life.
They can complain about it all they want, but the result is the result.
Right. They feel like the little brother. I almost feel like, for the Bills, they were the little brother of the Patriots for 20 years. And you finally felt like we were over that hump as a Bills fan, right? You finally feel like we're over that hump, and the Patriots go away, and we're the best team in the AFC now. We're certainly the best team in the AFC East now, which they have been for multiple years. And now all of a sudden, you go in on Sunday night and their starting quarterback outplays our quarterback. Like, what the hell? And maybe outplays might be strong, but nevertheless plays just as good as Josh Allen did. So, man, that's got to be brutal for them.
Yeah. I think May just outplayed Josh Allen.
Yeah.
I thought I do want to start. No, we'll start with the quarterbacks. May was incredible. A little bit shaky early on.
Yep.
And as we've seen from him, sometimes he starts games slow. He never ends games slow. He's playing his best football by the end of the game. It seems like the more time he gets to work against the defense, the more he figures it out and is able to act on it, which, that's got to be a scary thought for 31 teams right now, because he's 23 years old and he's only going to take in more information about what's going on here, especially if you're like a division opponent. If this is how he plays, and as he learns how you play and adjusts in game, he plays better. All right, well, if you're playing the same teams twice a year, you got to think he's going to look pretty darn good that second time around in those matchups as well.
Yeah.
Looking ahead. But this one, there's a lot of great plays from May in this one. I think we have to start at the end here, though, with not one, I'd say 3 great plays on the final drive. The stiff arm throw to Stephon Diggs, the honey hole shot to Kayshon Boutte, and the heady play to just take a sack for no yards to keep the clock running and burn time on the final offensive snap for the Patriots. Just like chef's kiss, applause all around, amazing stuff.
That was the last drive of the game, right? I mean, that's games on the line, and that's not even mentioning the throw that I've watched like literally at this point 100 times with the where he's rolling out to his right and hits Stephon Diggs, for that long pass down the sideline. That last drive was masterful from Drake Maye, like just masterful. And the first play, and Collinsworth has the little it's the little what's it called, the chuckle, which I think is hysterical. Like that but what else are you gonna do? You have to laugh because you're just like, there's no way that he could possibly get rid of that ball. I mean, he's stiff arming the defensive lineman, gets rid of it, and instead of just throwing it away, finds Stephon Diggs, and Diggs turns it into a first down, and it's just unbelievable. And then honey hole shot, insanity. Like, he read that so quickly. I think you watch that play, and that was Jared Wilson and Will Campbell has happened a few times and probably will happen some more, losing quickly on a twist, right? They just lost on the stunt, and Wilson got smoked inside, and Drake Maye just got it to Kayshon Boutte, and in the presence of mind from Boutte to get down in bounds and force the Bills to use a timeout there. That's not much. It's a little thing, but that little thing makes a big difference, right? That changes what the end of the game looks like, because then you probably have to go pick up a first down. If he goes out of bounds there, you probably have to pick up a first down now, because
or if you throw it and it's incomplete.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, because the Bills are going to get the ball back if you don't. And so they get the ball back anyways, but you know what I mean? Like, they're going to get the ball back with some actual time. And so anyway, so that's, that play. And then, as you say, just keeping it alive, not taking a sack again somehow, and getting back to the line of scrimmage to set up Borregales for the long field goal. Now, here's the thing. That kick might have been good from 70. That's true. But it doesn't matter if the kick was good from 70. Sometimes kicking from 57 is different than kicking from 52. Just mentally, that's where you're at. And so for me personally, I think that those 3 plays were huge.
Yeah. Oh, awesome stuff. And that's, I think one of the things about that last drive is just how quickly it happened. I mean, it's really, really the entire drive to get you into field goal range it's 2 plays. Those 2 connections to Diggs and Boutte, they get you 31 yards. And outside of that, you pick up 6 yards on 3 rushes, basically.
Right.
So those are important, because that's the difference between a 52-yarder and a 58-yarder. Right. But it's the 2 big passing plays. And Maye just going out there and operating like that, I mean, it's very much not the same. But I couldn't help think back to that John Madden quote when he says, "What Tom Brady just did gives me goosebumps."
Yeah.
In Super Bowl 36. And Maye is about just as young in his career. This was his 17th career start. That would have been Brady's. I think was that his 17th career start. It was around that mark.
Yeah, I guess, right. He had started 3 games. It was the second game of the season that he didn't play. And so they played 20 games. So it was 18th start.
No, they
played 19 games.
16 and 3. So that was his 17th start.
There you go.
Very much a different game.
Obviously.
Different stakes, different situation. But that, you go out there and avoiding a sack on the first play and turning it into something, and then hitting the big play that sets you up, and then getting into field goal range and kicking it. it's not the same, but there's parts of that are like, damn, like that's if you've got that ability in that situation to just go out there and hit those plays and drive into field goal range, that to me is special.
Well, it's first time in prime time, against the divisional opponent on the road, tough situation. Everyone's kind of talked all week about how you have a chance in this game. And listen, I know that the pundits were all picking the Bills, and that's fine. But, everyone was talking about how this is like the Patriots coming out party, and they've been playing well, and so on and so forth. And then to go out there and back it up, was so impressive. Also, I want to give a quick shout out, Zach, saying hello. Long time listener on Spotify, watching live. Appreciate you. Thanks for coming through. Nelson checking in. And Jermaine pointing out that Tyquan Thornton's having a hell of a season, that's true. I'm probably going to be running a 5K in the Tyquan Thornton jersey, but that's neither here nor there, I suppose. but anyways.
It is crazy this week that we've had Mac Jones great game, Kendrick Bourne great game,
yep.
Tyquan Thornton playing well in prime time, Patriots with a win in prime time. Yeah. Any other notable names around the Patriots with big things happening this week?
Bill Belichick's team played really well this week.
Oh, yeah, that's what it is.
Bill O'Brien's team played really well. I don't know what happened at BC. No idea.
Well, Bill O'Brien I think they canceled the weekly EEI radio hits for the rest of the season.
I mean, they have to. They're just absolutely getting murdered out there. I have no idea what's going on with BC. Yeah. But anyways, now with the Patriots, though, I feel like this was Drake Maye's kind of chance to show what he's done and who he is. And what's funny is that he didn't throw a touchdown pass, but he was so good in those other areas. And I thought the first half, I know he starts a little slow at times, but I thought in the first half, he was taking care of the football. He wasn't being careless. He wasn't making dumb mistakes. Now, he wasn't pushing the ball down the field either, and he wasn't, killing them either. But I just thought that, he was kind of taking what the Chiefs gave him. And then he was almost like, I wouldn't say more prepared, but more willing to go after the ball, or more willing to go after, the deep throws and the big plays in the second half than he was in the first half. And of course, paid dividends. But I think that he kind of, instead of kind of trying to make those crazy plays, to just say, you know what, I'm going to take the sack, or you know what, I'm going to, I'm going to live with incompletion here, or with a short completion here instead of something else. So I know people weren't happy with his first half performance. I thought he wasn't as bad as some people were saying, though.
I just didn't think he saw the field very well. I thought he looked a little bit of happy feet, a little bit overwhelmed, wasn't sure where he was looking at times. Which happens. Sean McDermott's a good defensive coach. Right. They're going to throw a lot at you. And they said after the game, they prepared a lot for the Bills to blitz them. And the Bills didn't blitz in the first half and then brought it in the second half. So they felt better about it. But I also think if you look through this, the first real scoring drive of the game, because I'm not counting the one where you get set up in field goal range.
Of course,
It's a 2-minute drill at the end of the first half. And he hits that deep over to Hunter Henry, layered in throw between the intermediate guys, linebackers and the safeties behind him in that cover 2 defense. And that, I believe, that's with the clock running. I'm pretty sure. I don't know. It might not have been, but I do think you get to that point where it's like, okay, it's 2-minute drill. Things simplify a little bit on both sides, and I think that's it would expect Drake Maye to shine in those moments, and he has. The Patriots get 2-minute drills in this game, and both of them end with points. So shout out to situational football there, and both of them end with points with no time on the clock as well.
Yeah.
So the situational football there is good, but I thought, if you want to talk situational football, I thought the single biggest sequence of this game in terms of setting yourself up to win, it's the first 2 possessions you have in the second half, because Buffalo goes down and scores, takes the lead. It's the first time you touch the ball in the second half, you're down. You're able to drive down the field, big catch to Diggs, pass to Diggs, big pass to Booty, and then that rollout pass to Diggs ad-libbing, and then you're able to punch it in after that. So there's that sequence. Buffalo drives and you force a turnover, and at that point it's late in the third. And I put this on Twitter, but you're up by 3. It's late in the third. What good teams do here is take up some clock, drive down the field, and score a touchdown. Bring the game into the fourth quarter, make it a full 2-score game right here. And that's what the Patriots did. A clutch third down conversion to Stephon Diggs, another clutch third down conversion to Stephon Diggs, a big play to Diggs. That's the one where Maye just hits him on the quick pass. He makes a man miss, and he goes like 30 yards. And then Ramondre runs it right back in again. And it's like, oh, and you've got the play to Hunter Henry to open the fourth quarter as part of that too. The dig route post over the middle of the field, kind of up the seam that Maye rips, which is maybe my favorite throw of the day. But it's like, all right, pressure's on, big situation, got to have it possession right there. You come out with back-to-back touchdowns. And it's like, all right, now you know you're going to have a chance. You're up by 2 scores on the road at Buffalo. If you lose that game, it's going to suck and it's going to hurt, but you know that you've put yourself in a position to win it, and then you just have to go do it. And they just even get to that spot, I thought was huge.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. And then, it's after that sequence is when the defense kind of lets you down on the next drive, right? You give them 30 free yards with 2 15-yard penalties, literally back-to-back 15-yard penalties.
By backup defensive tackles.
Yes. And I thought I understood what Farmer was doing. He just didn't have to hit him like that. I mean, whatever. It was bad. The Durden play was just like, you can't land on the guy like that. And I don't even think it was landing. I think he hit him in the head.
Well, I think these are both calls that are technically correct and reckless from inexperienced players. I have said many, like the incidental helmet contact like that is just something I'm not a fan of, being roughing the passer, and I don't think most fans like. And the Farmer one, I feel like, was just a very strange, unlucky play where you probably have to play it with a little bit more caution, but that's football.
Right. And then, so of course they score and the Patriots immediately go 3-and-out. Yeah. And this is where the Bills drive back. Oh, go ahead.
Well, not just 3-and-out. You get to 3rd and 1. You go 6 offensive linemen in there. And
yeah. And
they call it very low for a false start. I'm not even sure.
I think it was Jared Wilson.
Well, I think Wilson false started first and then Lowe goes. But both of the movements were so small that, again, these are all plays that are like, you're probably going to get away with some of these. You just happen to not in that situation. And it's like to have 3 of those in a row on the road in prime time from reserve players who are being asked to do something.
Yes, but the Bills are complaining about calls on them. But, and so, yeah, you go 3-and-out in that situation. And, of course, you pick up that first down and things might be different. And the Bills kind of march right down the field. And I'm sitting there saying, oh, God, here we go. Like, here we go again. And Allen hits Keon Coleman for a touchdown, which, by the way, Keon Coleman was, and I don't know if he still is, that catch, or not, obviously, he was 3-4 yards out of bounds, but that catch was the thumbnail on YouTube for the highlights.
It was when I was on YouTube 2 hours ago to watch the QB school video. It was still
which is insane. It didn't. He was out of bounds by 5 yards. Like,
yeah.
What are we doing here? So anyway, that play, and then Gonzo makes a phenomenal play on Khalil Shakir. Again, coming back to the ball, and yes, was he a half second early? Maybe, but I don't care. Like, for all intents and purposes, that was exactly as the ball was getting there. That play does not be called, and the Bills had to settle for a field goal, and then the Patriots drive down the field and win the game.
And I think, as for that play, defensively, you're not going to ask for a whole lot more than 3 free rushers at Josh Allen outside of the pocket, trying hopelessly to create something with Christian Gonzalez in coverage on the intended receiver. if you lose on that, you lose on that.
Right.
No, and I think you look at the defensive approach here. First of all, I expected the defense to give up a lot more points. I was expecting in the 30s. So hats off to Zach Kerr, who has done phenomenally with Terrell Williams out right now. And obviously, we wish Terrell Williams the best. Mm-hmm. But I think he's been incredible. I think also we talked about, what the impact of Christian Gonzalez was going to be when he gets back. And just the fact that when he's out there, it means that Alex Austin isn't. I think it allows you to do so much more defensively. I think that was one of my main takeaways from the first 3 weeks is I thought that so many of the defensive issues were going to go away once Gonzalez came back. And so far they have. It just totally changes the types of coverages that you can play when he's out there. But on the whole, like the defense did the things that we talked about. They did a very good job of stopping the run in this one, especially James Cook. QB run, you had issues with, but that's Josh Allen.
I mean, yeah.
And they allowed
the Patriots for not stopping Josh Allen. It's Josh Allen.
Yeah. Well, we said the Bills are going to get there, so you're not going to shut them out. It's not the game. The goal of this game isn't to shut them out. The goal of this game is to go for. You're trying to trade splash plays basically, and hope that you come out on top of that. And Patriots did. You forced 3 turnovers in this one with some really heads up plays. I think that Marcus Jones pick is probably the finest of them, but Spillane forcing a fumble, and I forget who forced the other one.
It was the bad snap. I mean, bad handoff on the jet sweep.
And Farmer jumps on it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But just opportunistic football, guys looking to make plays. And I think you see it in the attitude of the players. They play with resilience. They play with confidence. They don't really worry about getting beat. They just kind of get ready for the next play. And that's how this felt. Like it's the Bills didn't get a ton of massive plays. James Cook doesn't have a run over 9 yards. There's plenty of intermediate plays. There's nothing over the top. There's none of those like 40, 50-yard passes on you. So you make all of these drives just have to be painful, long, drawn out for them. And that's not how Buffalo wants to play. So if you can drag them into a game like that, now you have a chance. Then, of course, you actually have to force the turnovers, which is easier said than done. But Bills had a lot of long drives in this one, and I think a drive of 6 plays that ends in a fumble, 7 plays that ends in a pick. Those are probably 10-play drive that ends in a field goal, 11-play drive that ends in a field goal. Those are some of your big moments here, I think, just to give the offense a chance. As we said, just do enough to give Drake Maye a chance. And they did it.
Well, that's and honestly, there's so many things that you can point to. You point out the Marcus Jones interception was a great play by him, and he just continues to make plays. But I honestly feel like you're seeing it from everyone, and when you see, Diggs, my goodness, goes out there and has one hell of a game and one hell of a performance, honestly, by him. But it's you're getting a little bit more than maybe you were hoping for from some other guys. Robert Spillane has had multiple weeks in a row now where he's played well.
He's back. I'm not worried about him anymore.
Yep, I agree. And the big thing for me, you talk about resilience, and I think that this is what Mike Vrabel is building. This is the cornerstone of what Mike Vrabel is building. It's this idea that resilience is the key. That's what we're looking for. And again, I'm going to say it all damn year until it's not true. I'm going to say it all year until it's not true. But that week 2, when he gives Borregales, number one, when he trusts Borregales to go out there and kick a 55-yard field goal up 3 in Miami, and he buries it. And then, after missing 2 extra points earlier in the game, and then to go in the locker room and give him the game ball after that game. That to me is the point where I looked at it and said, okay, this is the identity we're trying to build. We're trying to build this identity that you're going to make mistakes. Everyone's going to make mistakes out there, but we're going to support you through those mistakes, and we're going to overcome those mistakes. And ultimately, we think that you're better than your worst mistake. And that's the culture that he's trying to build here. And again, you see it with Pop Douglas, who had a horrendous game. And then Hunter Henry comes off the field, scoring his touchdown. And the first thing that, Vrabel says to him is, Pop sprung you. And then he goes over and talks to Pop about it. And Ramondre Stevenson just keeps flipping, fumbling the football. And they just keep putting him back out there and saying, we have faith in him. And Drake Maye keeps saying we have faith in him. And Vrabel keeps saying they have faith in him. And, and it's like, that is, I think, at least being paid off. That's what he's trying to build. Now, I think that it's only going to last for so long. Once he's kind of been here a little while and you kind of set the standard and you have the guys that you want to have here, right? He has all of his guys, and maybe it'll be a little bit different. But for the most part, guys make mistakes. I don't need you looking over your shoulder because you made one mistake, right? I don't need to go and berate you. The Cardinals situation was horrendous, right? Just absolutely horrendous. But the kid fumbles the ball out of the end zone. He's basically like crying, being consoled by his teammate. And Jonathan Gannon runs up and hits him twice and screams in his face for 30 seconds. It's just, what does that accomplish? It doesn't accomplish anything. And so, on the flip side of it, what he is doing, is building this culture of, listen, I'm not advocating you making mistakes, but we're here to support you when you do. And so let's be mentally tough and let's be mentally strong. And if you make a mistake, we're going to trust you to make a play the next time you're out there. And I think that's paid off, and that's where that resiliency comes from.
When I had made a comparison to it being kind of the inverse of Belichick, I think, on the last episode. And I think the way I would describe it is that, like, Bill and Vrabel kind of try to instill this attitude in players of, like, you're only as good as your next play. And in Bill, I think it was a little bit more towards, not getting too high off of what happened the last time to, like, coast on it the next time, to kind of stay locked in and stay focused. And Vrabel, at least so far, seems to be doing it from the other angle of, just because you made a mistake the last time, we're still going to be counting on you to get it right the next time. And that's what matters, being able to, the next time we call on you, do it. And, I think generally speaking, the players have rewarded him for that. How they handle the running back situation going forward, you can only make so many adjustments in game, especially with Antonio Gibson going down. How they handle Ramondre Stevenson going forward is going to be interesting. It's tough because, like, Ramondre has just been flat out a better player than Javion Henderson so far this year, and basically every aspect of his game. I believe he's averaging more yards per route run as a receiver, more yards per carry as a running back, better in pass protection. It's just, the one flaw he has is he can't stop putting the ball on the ground, which is more important than all of the other things.
Right.
So how do you find that balance? I don't envy the position that Mike Vrabel's in there, because what if Ramondre Stevenson never fumbles again for the rest of the season, but you put him on the bench so no one ever finds out that he would have been that good if you put him out there. And obviously the reverse is if you play him and he fumbles again and now you lose because of it. That'd be 2 games lost because of that. And that's going to look real tough. I just can't tell you what the right decision is there. I don't know.
When I think, and this is, Zach asked the question, are you worried about Travion Henderson? And maybe we can get into this after the break, but, if you could go back, would you change the pick? And I know, what do you say?
You don't need my answer on that one.
I know. Well, yeah, I was going to say, Matt definitely wanted to change the pick. And I don't necessarily disagree with you. I mean, I'm excited about the opportunity that he brings, right? I am. But again, if you look at the positions that were there, if you look at the players that were there, and you just say, okay, well, now, am I advocating for the, you could have taken, I don't know, pick a rookie running back, Dylan Sampson or Bajal Tootin, right? Who has his own fumbling issues in college, right? But like
Krosky Merritt.
Right. Bill Krosky Merritt, who was a late round pick, or, are you taking Luther Burden in that spot? Or are you taking Mason Taylor in that spot? Or are you taking, Lazarico from BC, in that spot? Are you taking, Will Johnson, who I think, you're not taking Will Johnson, but you get the idea, right? Nick Scorton, like there are guys that were available that you could have taken in that spot, that theoretically could have helped you out. And then, you could have turned around and drafted someone else. I mean, a guy that I loved coming out, and he went 64. So it's not like, it's not like the Patriots were, it's not like it was close to where he was taken, and maybe it's a little bit of a reach. But a guy I loved was Andrew Makuba, who is playing phenomenally for the Eagles. And another guy that I loved, who's playing fantastic and might win defensive rookie of the year, is Carson Schlesinger. And Schlesinger is at a position of need for the Patriots. And do you want to be taking a linebacker here? Maybe not. Maybe it's a little rich,
he
but
went like 33 or 34, right? He went right in front of us.
So, you're right. Schlesinger went 33.
Yeah,
you're right.
But
so
still, you're in a position
to
trade up and make move.
Right.
Makuba, I think, is a great call out because, I don't think the safety play has been bad, but I don't think it's been good either. I think it's replacement level players out. Not replacement level. That's too harsh. Average players out there.
Right.
They're fine.
Yeah.
Makuba in this scheme, I think, would be elite. So that would be incredible to see. And I think watching this one, there were points from safety might be a need for this team high in the draft. Probably not going to be in the spot where you can take Caleb Downs out of Ohio State. Caleb Downs in this defense would be a hell of a lot of fun. I can tell you that much.
Yeah.
But and what I will say is this: I'm not going to get too down on Trevion Henderson yet because his vision just is not there yet. That can only come from reps. He's going to get more reps now with Antonio Gibson out. So let's make it happen.
Yep.
His pass blocking, I think it looked a little bit better on Sunday night. But he did, I actually didn't realize this until I looked it up mid-game. And this may have changed at this point, but at least as of last night, he was tied for first in the NFL in offensive holding penalties.
That's not great. That's not great.
You never want a running back in that spot. So, and that's the issue with him right now. But all of Henderson's issues on paper are fixable. You just got to go out there and do it. Obviously, the counter to all of this is that, you drafted a running back in the top 40 of the NFL draft. And as of right now, a month into the season, there's just with Antonio Gibson out, there's discussion I've seen online about trading for Derrick Henry or Alvin Kamara or people like that. You draft a running back in the second round because you expect you're going to get that running back's prime in the 4 years you have him. You expect him to be a quality back for all 4 of those years. And, this is certainly a disappointing start for Henderson. He just has not played as well as a lot of people thought he would, which is, again, this is, I think, always one of the risks with taking guys in the draft. It sounds silly, but sometimes you're good at something in college and then you're not good at it in the pros. And it's hard to explain why it just happens. That seems to be Henderson with pass blocking right now. And this is where the positional value comes into it. If Henderson's great, he's worth this pick over some of the other guys. But the problem is that there's uncertainty here. Sometimes a guy just stinks at something and you thought he was going to be good. And then if that happens, okay, well, now we're looking at a guy who's a second or a third back in a committee, and a pass rusher with an equal type of flaw still might be a designated pass rusher who can get you 5 to 7 sacks in a year. And that's just going to be more impactful at that spot in the draft. Things drop off a lot quicker at the running back position in terms of how you can impact the game.
That's true. That's true.
But we got 12 regular season games left. Yeah,
he's got a long way to go. He's 5 games in, and we haven't seen what we want to see from him just yet. But he's going to get more opportunities, you'd have to think, even if it's Jermichael Hasty or even if they sign somebody else or whatever the case may be, right? Jermichael Hasty's on someone's practice squad. Is it Miami's? Yeah. So he's on a practice squad. They could sign him to the active roster. They have Terrell Jennings on their own practice squad. There are guys out there that they could sign that are street free agents too.
You can trade for someone. I'm not at all opposed to that. I don't think the Ravens would trade Derrick Henry.
I also don't think you want to trade for Derrick Henry at this point because it's going to take a lot to get him, and I think he's in his own head right now. He's got a little bit of the yips himself right now.
Well, and then you do run, there's the worst case outcome there is Henry is a little bit washed up at this point, and now he has the fumbling issue, and now you've got two different power backs with fumbling issues, and the only other guy you can't put out there in passing downs unless he's running a route. And it's like, all right, well, now what we do?
Right.
Alvin Kamara, I think schematically makes a ton of sense. No idea what the cost on something like that would be, but I think maybe we tease here before the ad break, but with the way the Patriots look tonight and the way the schedule looks, I think the Patriots should be open to being buyers at the trade deadline here, 100%. And Kamara is one of a couple names I think we could talk about.
Imagine if you go down and stomp the Saints next weekend, and then the Saints trade you Alvin Kamara because they're like, "Hey, we're rebuilding. Send us a second-round draft pick."
With him. Right. It's not going to be for someone like Kamara too. I don't think it would be.
It'll be like a third, fourth.
No, I think we're talking day 3. Easy. At least I'm not doing it without maybe we want to do like a fourth for Kamara and a 6th type of thing, but I gotta double check how many years he has left on his deal. He's an older running back who you probably are not imagining being on your football team for very much time. So I would think the price in a trade is not going to be crazy.
I mean, if that's all it took to get him, I would do that instantly in a heartbeat. I would have already done it. Let's see. So. But because he's older, is he 30 yet? He's got to be 30.
Yeah, he's 30 now. The contract, okay, it would be for this year and next year, and I'm not 100% sure. They could be Kamara. I think would cost about a little bit less than $3 million for the Patriots this year, which is nothing. He would cost like $11.5 million next year, I think, if I'm reading this correctly.
Yeah,
so that becomes still a little bit more of an obstacle, but. You could also immediately turn around if he's good and trade him again in the offseason.
It's true.
And just clear that off your books. There wouldn't be any dead money on that. So
it's very true. Or just cut him if you wanted to.
Yeah.
So.
And I would guess, I haven't looked at what his stats are this year, but I can't imagine he'd cost you anything crazy. I mean, we're talking about a season and a half of a 30-year-old running back.
That's true.
Who is not in his prime.
I mean, if the Saints are looking to move on, I'll take that. I would take that in a heartbeat for sure. Yeah. But so, all right, let's take a quick break and then we'll come back. This break, of course, is for Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the best place to turn your sports knowledge into cash. America's #1 daily fantasy sports app. Football's back. I mean, we know this, right? Football's here. Baseball is still going on. Hockey is coming. Basketball is coming. This is like we can get everyone involved at the same time. And again, my favorite thing, my favorite thing is that you can mix and match your sports. But here's something new that Prize Picks is doing. They are the only app that offers stacks, which means you can pick the same player up to 3 times in the same lineup. You want to pick more on Josh Allen's passing yards and rushing yards and touchdowns? You can pick all of them in the same lineup only on Prize Picks. Maybe Drake Maye instead of Josh Allen, but you get the idea. Okay? What you can also do is follow other Prize Picks players directly on the app and copy their lineups in one click. Whether it's a friend, a celebrity, or just someone whose picks you like, you can hit the follow button and check out every lineup they create in the new feed tab on Prize Picks. Pretty sweet. Maybe don't follow me because I'm terrible at this, as you know. I will say I did have Jonathan Taylor more than his yards, which were like 102, and he did not hit that. But he did score 3 touchdowns, so he had a very good game. But, what are you going to do? Again, one of the things that I love about Prize Picks is they allow for quick and easy deposits and withdrawals. They use Visa, MasterCard, Apple Pay, Venmo, which is great. So what you're going to do, download the Prize Picks app today, put in the promo code CLNS, and you're going to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Again, download the app Prize Picks, put in the promo code CLNS, and get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. All right. So, yeah, that would be interesting. Alvin Kamara, I'm just thinking about Alvin Kamara on the Patriots. That would be a lot of fun. That'd be a lot of fun.
I also think the simplest path forward is to Michael Hasty. You can sign him for nothing. He should know the offense, and he fills the same role as Gibson, and he can return kicks. So
yeah. No, I agree with you. I think that makes sense.
Or someone like Michael Hasty. There's a lot of those guys in the NFL.
Correct. Yeah. Also, someone pointed out, and I just think we should talk about it. Where is it? Nelson asked, is Pop just a decoy? And you can answer this too if you would like, but what I would say to that, he had 2 catches for 17 yards. He had a really nice catch on the sideline.
He did.
He's not necessarily just a decoy, but he's also not. He's their 5th receiver. Like, he's not doing anything, right? He just is like, he's just there. He's an extra guy on the field, sure, but he's only out there for 8-9 snaps a game, and which is what he should be doing. And so I would say he's not necessarily just a decoy. He's not really just a part of the offense much.
I wouldn't even call him a decoy. I'd just say he's a depth receiver for you.
Yeah.
And he's not bad. I think he's a good depth receiver. He's a depth receiver for a team that has a lot of 2 wide receiver looks, a lot of 1 wide receiver looks, and that, uses bigger bodies. I wouldn't necessarily even say that Mac Hollins is a better player than Pop Douglas. Mac Hollins fits what the team's trying to do in a way that Pop doesn't necessarily.
His block in the end zone was so awesome. On Ramonda's touchdown.
He had 2 that were awesome.
Yeah.
Which is, they basically use him as a 3rd tight end in a lot of ways, which is great. But they do that set where they have like Kyle Williams, Pop, and Diggs all out there at the same time, which I think that's their deep shots, and that's like their man beater one. I think all guys who are quick and twitchy. I mean, I think the biggest issue for Pop right now, though, is that they put 2 wide receivers for most of the time.
Yep.
Diggs looks like Stephon Diggs again.
Yep.
And Kayshon Boutte has gotten better than him. So there's only so many snaps. I don't think Pop's – at this point, I don't know if Pop's really doing a lot wrong or if he's just not doing enough right. Like, it's not – so I wouldn't even say he's a decoy. I think he's just one of the guys.
Just a depth guy, right? He doesn't have any specific specialized skill. So, like, for instance, Kyle Williams is your speed guy, right? Like, he's the guy that can take the top off the defense. And I will say Ben Solak did an awesome job breaking down, some plays from Drake Maye, and one of them was one of the seam passes to Hunter Henry that I think you mentioned earlier, and that's a pass that he's not really supposed to throw. It's really just a clear out route, but it's open. And part of the reason it's open is because Kyle Williams takes the deep safety with him because he's running a go route. And, that ends up, and the other safety cheats over a little bit too far on the other side, and Hunter Henry ends up being open. And it's great recognition by Drake Maye, but that's the type of thing where if you don't have a guy that can take the top off the defense, that safety's sitting there and that pass isn't open. And so, but because you have the speed in Kyle Williams, you're forcing teams to cover that. Now, you haven't hit a shot to Kyle Williams yet. That doesn't mean that he can't do it. You just haven't done it yet, right? And so there is going to be a game. It's going to happen where someone loses him or they don't send that safety up over the top and he burns his guy and catches a 60-yard bomb or something like that. But it hasn't happened yet. But that Hunter Henry pass isn't open unless he does that. And so I think that, that's one of those situations where we know why Kyle Williams is on the field. First of all, he's a rookie and you want to get him more reps, but also because he brings that speed to the game. Pop Douglas doesn't have that. He's shifty, but he certainly doesn't have the speed that a guy like Kyle Williams has.
Well, I think he kind of falls in this no man's land. Pop Douglas does because Diggs is just your clear wide receiver 1.
Right.
Mac Hollins is your blocking wide receiver. Kayshon Boutte is your physical possession guy who has a lot of trust with Drake Maye at this point, just from them playing together, and stylistically they get along And then Kyle Williams is the young guy they just drafted who they're trying to develop. Pop wasn't drafted by these guys. He doesn't have as strong of a connection with Maye. The things he does at his best, other players on the roster do better right now.
Yeah.
So he just kind of gets relegated to a depth role. And that's fine because, guys are going to get banged up. There might be a game where you're going to lean on Pop and he's going to give you 60 or 70 yards and play well. He made that great catch this week. I think there's some plays on tape for him too. Like they just haven't hit. I'm sure eventually he's going to get some production here, but
he would have caught a touchdown pass. He would have caught a touchdown pass last night. Drake Maye rolled out to his left and had him open in the end zone. And
bats it down.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah. Great stuff. And that's just kind of been the story of the year for Pop, is that every time Maye seems to throw his way, just something happens. Maye misses throw, balls get deflected, spacing isn't quite right, the timing isn't quite right. Hopefully they get there, because Pop, I think, can help this offense, even if it's only one or two targets a game. This is, we're trying to, those one or two things can be the difference when you're playing good teams, especially if we're talking about playoffs here.
Sure.
I will say something I noticed watching, I watched the QB school breakdown of Maye's game. And it's just like, sometimes I forget how different life is with Drake Maye from Mac Jones and Bailey Zappi. Then you watch some of the stuff and it's like, man, I'm guessing one of the reasons that receivers looked awful in New England with those guys is that every single player, all 11 guys on defense, know this throw's not going more than 15 yards. He can't make that throw.
Right.
And they play accordingly. And with Drake Maye, he can make every single throw on the field and he can punish you with the run. So there's just more real estate a defense has to cover, and there's more space. You talk about Kyle Williams running that route well and drawing the safety so that, opens up the room for Hunter Henry over the middle when Maye hits that. The other part of that is that you can run that route all you want with Mac Jones as your quarterback, and he's still not going to hit the throw even if it's open.
Right.
It doesn't matter how well the receiver runs it. So it's that combination of, the quarterback can make the throw, he's willing to make the throw, and the receiver is able to push you down the field, put it all together, and you've got space. Like, I'm not even – obviously Diggs was fantastic last night. Outside of Diggs, I'm not sure how much better this receiving core really is from previous ones we've seen in New England. They're just being elevated because of the quarterback. And that's what Drake Maye does. His ability, the way that they're able to roll him out, the way that they're able to use play action with him, it's just incredible. He gets it so quickly. And it helps the line too. Like Will Campbell, I thought was good last night. I still don't think the offensive line has been exceptional or anything this year.
No, fine.
Stats wise, this chalks up to be like a top 10 pass blocking unit in a lot of ways. And I don't think they really are. I think they're much better than last year.
Yeah.
But I don't think they're top 10. I think the big thing is that, Maye can throw on the run. And Maye is doing well with play action. We've got all these things that can make life harder. And like, how many times did Maye make a throw last night where it's like, all right, we're just going to roll him away from Joey Bosa, so we just don't have to deal with that.
Yeah.
He's going to make a play out of it.
Right. And it's, it's the scheme, and the McDaniel scheme, I think, is just so far superior to what we've been running the past few years. And I just think, he's out there calling the plays, and he's calling the right plays, and he's getting Drake into situations that he's going to be successful in, that he's, comfortable with, that he's good at. And I think that makes a big difference, and look, we've seen the maturation process from Maye, I think, a lot faster than I ever expected. I'd never expected him to play this well. One of the reasons I have them for 8 wins is because I just thought it would take some time for this team to really gel, and it would take, Drake some time before he really became, a very good player. And, you mentioned this last night in the group chat that, like, after this game, if Drake plays this way, they can win every game on the schedule. But they can win every single game on the schedule if Drake plays this way. Now, you're not always going to play as well as they did last night, right? It's just not going to happen, right? But like, if that's in them, that's not fake. Like the Bills definitely made some mistakes, but like the Patriots played their butts off, and Drake Maye was incredible last night. And like, if you play like that, they can play with anyone.
Yep.
You know, and that it really gives you a ton of hope.
The AFC is wide open, and I want to be, I'll be consistent to my past self here. I think anyone who's listened to this show for a while knows I think I was more skeptical than most of the moves this team made this offseason. I think they were all bad or anything, but I just was not as optimistic across the board about what they were doing, and that reflected in my predicted record for this team. I also said when we were doing that I thought the single biggest factor for the number of games they were going to win this season was how does Drake Maye develop? How does he play?
Right.
I thought we'd get this Drake. I thought we'd get this Drake in like November or December. I don't know. I was like, all right, I'll feel good about that if we get it by then because, new offense, new offensive coordinator. I thought it would take time. The fact that we're getting this Drake now, barring serious injury or insane things happening, dare I say the expectation should be double-digit wins at this point.
Yeah.
Because the other part of why I was so, I guess, down on the Patriots was that I was just like, I wasn't going to buy the easy schedule thing yet because I wanted things change quickly and wanted to see how things played out.
Right.
This schedule is actually easier than people thought it was going to be before the season. If we look ahead for a second, I don't think there's games you can lose here. New Orleans is not good. Spencer Rattler, I think, has played better than expected.
Yep.
I think he's probably a starter in this league, or at least a high-level backup. But that team is not good. Though they did just win against the Giants last week. The Titans are horrendous. I have to think they're going to see coaches fired, and there's just – I think Cam Ward might be a guy for them, but you can't tell because the rest of that team is so bad. Which, by the way, so glad we did not pay Calvin Ridley the money he wanted. I said at the time that was going to be too much money for him, and he looks awful. He's not good.
Yeah.
Browns have like a good defense, but like Titans and Browns have two of the worst quarterback situations in the NFL right now. Atlanta at home, Jets you should beat twice, Bengals, Giants. These teams are not scaring me. Ravens later, not scaring me right now. We'll see who's playing in that game.
Well, right, Lamar's back. You assume Lamar's going to be back for that game, and then the Ravens at least have a chance, but who knows?
Well, this was at Buffalo was the hardest game on the schedule when it came out.
Yep.
You won it. So
right.
like the two hardest remaining, it's at Tampa and potentially at Baltimore, who depending on who's playing in that one.
Tampa's been
outside
awesome.
But I don't know. Then hopefully some of these get moved. So at least a 4:00 start. That'd be nice.
Yeah.
But like outside of those two that I mentioned, at Baltimore and at Tampa, they might be favored in every single other one of these games. And you get Buffalo.
Except for the Bills.
What that looks like.
Except I would imagine they will not be favored in the Bills game. I still expect the Bills to win the AFC East. I still expect the Bills to be one of the best teams in the AFC. But I really do think that they can compete and or win every game that's left. And I just think, for them at least, I look at it and say, okay, they have a chance to win 10 games, maybe even 11, right? And I didn't feel that way before the season started, but again, you look at, and there's a long way to go. There's a long way to go. But based on what we've seen from Drake Maye the last 3 weeks now, right? And we were saying, well, they were playing bad teams, and so it didn't really matter. Not that it didn't matter, but it doesn't matter as much because whatever, they're just bad teams. That's not the case anymore, right? Nope. The Bills are not a bad team. They have a pretty good defense. They don't have an incredible defense, but they have a pretty good defense. And so if that's the case, when you start to look at it and say, all right, like maybe he can do this. And that to me is, is what I look at and just think, all right, we have a chance against anyone. And so, him playing like that is going to give us a chance. Him playing like that we will not be playing a ton of 1:00 games next year. If Drake Maye continues to look this way, we'll be playing in the 4:30 slots. We'll be playing in the,
we'll get the maximum allotment of primetime games.
100%. Yep.
Well, and I think you said not being favored in that Bills game. Obviously, we have a lot of football to play between now and then. But if we just go by what we think the Patriots are going to be favored in, if the Patriots were to win the games we think they'd be favored in between now and that Buffalo game, that's all of them but the Tampa game. That means you are 10-3 hosting the Bills, team that you've already beaten earlier that season.
Yeah.
Depending on the quality, not just wins and losses, but how bad you're actually able to beat up on teams. If you're 10-3, but all these games are 1-score games, that's going to be different than if you're 10-3 and you're blowing a lot of these teams out.
Right.
You could very well be favored by the time Buffalo comes to town in December, which is insane. But
yeah.
Drake Maye is playing like one of them guys right now. And if you got a quarterback who's playing like that and a receiver who's playing like that and a defense that I feel like is finally playing opportunistically and with some speed and cohesion on the back end now that you've got Gonzalez back, I don't think this team's a Super Bowl contender, but they can do what the Commanders did last year, where you just get hot and make a run.
Right.
And the schedule lays that out for you.
Well, again, we say all this, and they could go into New Orleans laying an egg next week. Like who knows? But the way they've been trending, I would be very surprised by that. This is not a, going to Buffalo and win throwing the ball 3 times, right, and just running it down the throat. That is not what happened last night. This was a team win, and you mentioned, when you talk about the defense, I thought the way they swarmed to the ball all night last night, I was very impressed by that. One guy wasn't making the tackle. They had 2, 3, 4, 5 guys making tackles every time. And that's the type of aggression that you need to play with. And sometimes you're going to get penalties. And, I can live with those penalties if we're going to play that way. And, I just thought that, for me at least, I loved what I saw from the defense last night. I thought Jelani Tavai even played pretty well. Spillane, as you said, is coming along, and I think is playing better. And, for the Patriots, it's just a matter of continuing to do that, and continuing to play that way, kind of the rest of the season. And as the season goes on, look, those 2 guys in the middle. And by the way, we talked about the free agent pickups. Kyrus Tonga has been a machine in the middle. And Milton Williams is the guy that got all the press, rightfully so, and he's been incredible too. But Tonga's been
dominant last week.
Yes. By the way, it felt like they got held on every play and no calls. So.
There were some calls. The Bills did have like 11 penalties, I think.
Well, but I mean, those interior guys felt like they got no calls against.
I think they drew. I think Barmore drew 1, and Evan Lazar called out in his review that he thought very clearly he should have drawn at least 1 more.
Yeah. So,
okay. I do feel like last night also changed the lens through which I view this team a little bit. In that, we have been, I feel like, so locked in for a while now on not even really wins and losses, but kind of pluses and minuses. We're just kind of evaluating all the players all the time. And so there's been a lot of mistakes, and a lot of those minuses come under the microscope. And I felt like last night was the first game I've seen this team play in a while, probably since 2021, where I really wasn't evaluating, all right, here's the good plays, here's the bad plays, here's the penalties, and here's the, you blew a coverage here and all that. And it's more so you just need to do enough to win the game. I don't care how it happens. I don't care how ugly it is. We're not playing for style points right now. Just hang in there and make plays. Like at the end, the Bills offense got a little bit going on that last drive. Like Marcus Jones gets beat by Khalil Shakir for, first down on 3rd down. And I feel like that's one of those plays where a year ago we're talking about, man, the team might need a new slot corner. And now you have a quarterback and you can overcome mistakes. The attitude isn't we need a new corner. It's, okay, let's just go out and get it right the next time. And just that mindset shift. And I think it reminds me, I'm going to keep coming back to this because I still feel like it was so interesting for me, is when we watched the 03 team. That 03 team made a lot of mistakes.
That's true.
But every game, it's the unit is 1 game, 1 win. It's not we're not caring specifically about what happens in 1 play or 1 drive. It's just doing whatever it takes to get that 1 win in this 1 game. And then after that, we regroup and figure out what we need to do to get the win the next time. That's what it felt like this week, which feels like, that means we're playing real competitive football. And it's very nice to be able to just sit back and watch a game and know that you don't have to be upset about every single little mistake the offense or defense makes because you have playmakers who can cover up for that.
Right. Well, and ultimately that's what it comes down to, right? Is that you have those guys that make plays, and you mentioned slot corner, like Marcus Jones is one of those guys. He continues to do it. And, it's a guy that, and I think rightfully so, right? I'm not calling you out. I know, I'm not calling you out and saying that you didn't think he was going to make the team because he stinks. You didn't think he was going to make the team simply because you didn't know if he fit Vrabel's scheme, what he wanted to do. And I think when you see the way he's responded, right? They made him a captain this year. Mm-hmm. And the way that he's played this year, he's been incredible. And I swear to you, he's a wizard. He had 1 punt return for 0 yards. Okay. He caught the ball.
One of the best punt returns for 0 yards I've ever seen.
He caught the ball on the sideline and then spun towards the sideline. How do you spin towards the sideline when you're on the sideline?
Stay inbounds.
I was like, how is that even possible? And so anyways, and it went for 0 yards because he got clotheslined. Oh my God.
I don't have the game. I don't know what you're reacting to.
Don't fumble. Oh my God. Oh my goodness. Patty Mahomes just threw a 100-yard pick six.
Let's go.
Devin Lloyd took it to the house. House call. Jags up 21-14. Oh my goodness. What a play. Anyways, 99 yards. Sorry, not 100. But anyways, it's just Marcus continues to make plays. He does it every week. And that was what a phenomenal. He came out of nowhere to get that interception. And you really can't blame Josh Allen for that. Like, that was just a great play by Marcus Jones. And, how about him getting a deflection on Keon Coleman, who's like almost a foot taller than him?
Yeah, that was awesome. That pick that he makes, too. I feel like it kind of comes back to one of the things that made me feel confident watching the game was Josh Allen was confused. We talked about how Drake Maye didn't have the best first half. It took him a little bit to settle in. It was worse, I thought, for Josh Allen, who I thought played confused for long stretches of the game. He locked in by the end, but I think later than Maye did. And that pick was just all right. It's every team wants to do. Stop the run early downs, make you go backwards, know that you're going to pass, and then make plays. And the Patriots have the corner to play man, and they can push the pocket, and they can get after you with a pass rush. And, that's really all that was. There was nothing all that complicated. It was just playing well enough to put your players in a position to succeed, and then those players going out there and executing. And so what if Marcus Jones gets beat later in the game on a third down in that last drive? You've already banked a huge PPU on third down and a pick in the red zone. You can afford to not be perfect out there.
Right.
And I did when we went up 20-10, I thought that was so important because it's Josh Allen and you're not going to keep him down forever. And I thought at that point, especially once they started to get in gear in the next drive, I was like, you're not stopping this offense again. You might hold them to a field goal. You're not stopping them. They're too good. They know what they're doing. We're late enough in the game that they're starting to figure things out and they know who they want to go to. And that's fine. The defense has already done its job at that point. It's just that, all right, now you've got the 2-score buffer. And that means that you're probably just going to have to score once on offense. Right. And they scored once on offense and they won the game. Yep. And that's complimentary football. It's a key to, I think, all their wins against the Bills recently, too, is getting those leads on them at some point in the game that allows you to control the way you want to play against them. Not even their wins. Last year they went up 14-0 in Buffalo to open that game. And that's what allowed them to play with them. Yeah. So, and don't look now. Patriots have a win streak against the Buffalo Bills again.
I still feel like that win last year shouldn't count. It just shouldn't. Count, yeah. All the things that are the Patriots are 3-16 at home, and it's no, they're not. They're really not. Yeah. The Bills intentionally lost that game. The Patriots did not win that game. The Bills intentionally lost. And hey, got the Patriots a pick from the Cowboys, so I appreciate you for Joe Milton, Bazooka Joe over there. But
It does remind me. Have you ever heard of? I actually don't remember the name of it. So it was a project created by, I believe, mathematicians, and it was a way of fixing in hockey the fact that teams will tank.
No,
for
we
picks.
didn't.
Oh, what do we
Okay,
got now?
sorry. I thought the Chiefs were going to return. Oh, it's a flag, anyways. I thought the Chiefs were going to return the kickoff for a touchdown. Anyways, keep going. Sorry.
They tried to fix the fact that teams would be tanking late and not with the lottery. So they basically invented this other system where once you are eliminated from playoff contention, any wins you get count positively towards your draft stock. So the way you in hockey is a point system. So once you're eliminated from the playoffs, it's whoever has the most points while eliminated ends up getting the top pick. I've always been.
Is that right in hockey? I didn't know that.
They don't do that. It was not adopted, but this idea was brought up as something they could do. And like the way that Patriots Bills game happened last year, I was like, we just need to do that because like we shouldn't be playing a game where you're just rooting for opposite outcomes here.
Right.
I like the idea of let's make wins help your draft position in some way. That way the fans get to root for their team and they get to root for the draft pick at the same time. But yeah. But you know who we have not given a shout out on this pod yet? Two guys actually we've not given a shout out on this pod yet. Andy Borregales and Julian Ashby.
Yeah.
Two rookies on the kicking unit on a 52-yard game winner.
Yeah. And you know, to get the snap down, and again, you know, I keep talking about that week 2, but to me, Borregales has been as advertised for you, you know, since that game. And he walked up to kick that field goal, and I was pretty confident. I mean, you're always worried when a kicker goes out to kick it, but I felt pretty good that he was going to hit it, and he did. And then you sit there and say, okay, like I feel he looks like the guy that they wanted, right? That they drafted, and that's why you draft that guy, you know. And Ashby, I mean, he's a for the love of God, he's a long snapper. Like I don't know what you do in drafting a long snapper, but you drafted a long snapper and you want him to be good, and he's been I guess flawless. I haven't seen any bad snaps from him yet, so
we haven't talked about him. So that's as big of a plus as I think you can get,
which is really what you want to do. I will say, I love the fact they took Julian Ashby only because they made that trade that I made in the draft, in my mock draft, which wasn't the exact same trade, but which is like the dumbest trade of all time. You just traded a 7th round pick for 2 7th round picks, and it's just so much fun. Like it's so stupid, but it's so much fun. And so the fact they traded a 7th round pick for 2 7th round picks and turned it into Ashby and then Kobe Minor as Mr. Irrelevant, but it was just like, that's fun. And so I'll take it, you know?
Yeah. On that kick, man, he boomed that. There was sometimes it's, you know, the kick might be tight, and that was one where you could walk away the second that he made contact. You just knew it was good immediately.
Well, as Tony says here, right? I mean, that was good from 70. Like that was an absolute missile.
I think it cleared the uprights from 52. I think it cleared the uprights, which is
insane,
unreal. I don't even think his leg was necessarily the selling point either. I think they liked for his accuracy. The fact got that kind of a leg too. So incredible stuff. And this is, in short, this game was one where they weren't perfect situationally, but they did enough, put themselves in a position to win, and then took advantage of bad football and finished things out, combined with the quarterback play that everyone's hoping for. And doesn't Ryan Poles look awfully silly for the things he said about Drake Maye? I
would say so. I would definitely say so. But that's the way it goes.
One final note. I would just have to say Stephon Diggs is back. The play that really stands out to me for him, it's the ad-lib completion down the right sideline. If you go back and watch his route on that, he teleports down the field.
Yeah.
He does a full 180 to get behind the defender and get to that spot. He was not doing that a month ago. He made, I think, every first man miss all night long. He is, among qualified receivers, Stephon Diggs is third in the NFL in the season right now in yards per route run. Third. Like, he isn't – that's including the games where he's been banged up.
Yeah.
So he's not just a wide receiver one right now. He's playing like a high-level wide receiver one.
Well, he was awesome last night, and I think that, he brings a little bit of fire to the team. And obviously he was a little bit extra juiced up last night, but I love the, we all we need. Like, that was awesome. I was ready to run through a brick wall for the guy. And he plays with that fire and emotion in every game. And as I said, it was obviously heightened last night because it was the Bills, but he plays like that all the time. And I think it's a great thing for the other guys to see as well. And you're totally right about that route. And forget about just the route. The catch was insane. I mean, that's, obviously he's got to get his feet in, right? And he did, obviously. But the defensive back's grabbing his arm and pulling his right arm away from his body. He never even tucked that ball in. He held that ball with his hands, went down to the ground, and he's getting his arm pulled from behind as he's falling to the ground. The fact that he held onto that is insane. It was an insane catch, an unbelievable throw. But it's one of those things where you look at it and say, yeah, he should get even more credit than you think for that play. And of course, as I said, I've watched it 100 times. There's someone put the music behind it, and I'm like, oh my, no, it's not like a virgin.
Films.
No. Let the choir sing like a man. I think it is. It's not like a version. It's like a prayer. Someone put like a prayer behind it, just in slow motion, and it was incredible. I was like, this is awesome. I must have showed that to 15 people today. But it's great. It's just it's so much fun, and to see those guys coming through and making plays is awesome. And I am. It's great. And Diggs is he's been fantastic. And listen, is there a chance that he won't be happy in 2 years and it won't end well? Maybe. I don't know. But right now,
don't care right now.
He's been awesome. And not only has he been awesome on the field, to me, he's been awesome off the field too. And that's exactly what I was looking for and hoping for when they brought him. That
clip with him on the sideline, getting into people and lighting a fire into them was mid-game, staying with it. He has matured so much, become a real leader for them, which is awesome. They need that. And, we talked about the Stephon Diggs contract too. It was a 1-year deal, and I totally forgot that it's one of those that's can be a 1-year deal, but it was actually a 3-year contract.
3-year deal. Yeah.
We just kind of figured probably a 1-year deal, and then maybe they cut him after that because he's probably not going to be worth the cap hit later on. If you keep playing like this, you're just going to keep him, and you're going to have him for all 3 years, and you're going to keep drafting receivers in that span so that you have a plan for when he's done. But unbelievable play from him. Unbelievable. I mean, we didn't go deep in it, but just the May stiff arm completion to Diggs is the play.
Outrageous. Just outrageous.
It's just so much. It's a 320-pound defender, and you're just pushing him off with one arm, keeping your eyes down the field while running and making a throw. What?
For me, it comes down to the fact that, and this is, the truly great quarterbacks in the NFL right now. It's different, right? It's different than what it used to be. But the truly great quarterbacks in the NFL right now can make plays when you just think there's just no chance they can make a play. There's just no way that they can make a play. And then they make a play anyways. And Mahomes has done it consistently, and Josh Allen has done it consistently. And there's not many other guys that can do it consistently. And Drake Maye has the ability to do that. Now, he hasn't done it over and over again or anything like that, but he has the ability to do that. And that was one of those plays where you're just there's just no chance. That play fails instantly. There's a guy in his face right away. And yet he somehow stiff arms him as he's getting taken down and completes it for a first down. And it's just how in the world did it happen other than the fact that it's Drake Maye and he can do those things? And There aren't many guys in the league that can do that. And he's one of them, and we should be happy. We're lucky that he's on our team.
And that's, again, you look at this schedule going forward, and it's like, man, the only quarterbacks they play for the rest of the season that like I think Baker Mayfield's playing at Drake Maye's level right now, probably higher.
Yeah, he's been incredible this year.
Josh Allen's defending MVP. You're going to get him again. And then if you get Burrow, if you get Lamar, how are they playing when you see them? Things like that. But that's 4 games for the rest of the season.
Yep.
Where I'm like, okay, I don't know if we're going to have the better quarterback that day.
Yeah.
You feel like for every other game of the rest of the season that you're going to have the better quarterback. And like the Patriots probably aren't going to win all of those games because even though Drake Maye is the better quarterback, he still probably will have an off day or two. That just happens.
Right.
And just because you have the better quarterback, the other 52 guys don't show up that day. Sometimes you just lose.
Or who doesn't? Or who has a bad game? You never know,
Yeah. But and what you said about the ability to make plays when you don't think there's a play to be made, I feel like that's one of those things. Like when I was evaluating guys like Mac Jones and Bailey Zappi and even Cam Newton, I think there was a lot of this instinct of looking at the tape and saying, well, where's he supposed to go with this? What is he supposed to do? And you get stuck in that mindset, and then you forget that you throw Drake Maye out there, and it's like, oh yeah, he just did that.
Right.
But that thing where we were debating before, like, should he have done this? Should not have done it? Like, could he have pushed the envelope? Drake Maye just does it, and it works. And like that's the difference. And that he's playing at a top 10 level right now.
Yeah, he's been. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing else to say. Like he's been incredible. So,
and that can be. I don't think it's crazy to say it can be top 5 by the end of the season. It would require something really good happen. Like, it has to keep going up to hit that level, but that's possible with this trajectory. One last comment from me, and I'm out.
Yes,
I got this feeling that's not the last time we're playing in that stadium. I could see a situation where the Patriots are in the playoffs and end up back in Buffalo and get them one more time there.
Yeah.
And I think that would be a lot of fun.
That would be awesome.
That we're going to get Drake Maye, Josh Allen at least 2 times a year for a bit here.
God.
I mean, it's
terrifying. It's terrifying because it's the freaking Bills. But it's just like that's exactly what you want. And like the fact that we walk away from this feeling that way about this team is awesome. Like that's the exact type of game that we used to have with Brady when it was Brady versus Manning, and you go into it like, oh my God, everything's on the line tonight and everything matters tonight. And like, what are we going to do? And the whole country turns their eyes to the game and is watching this game because of what those 2 guys can do. In Brady versus Mahomes, it kind of started, and then it was Mahomes and Allen, and it's Allen and Lamar, and it's whatever, right? But Drake Maye is getting himself into that conversation. And if the Patriots have one of those guys, it just makes it makes it a situation where you feel like you can compete with anything, with anyone, at any moment, at any game. And then what it comes down to is how do you build your team and how do the rest of the players play? That's what it comes down to. Do you have the right guy as the head coach? Do you have the right guys evaluating the talent that's coming in? And, and can you coach those guys up when they get here? And, I hope that we do, that we have the right guy in place to be the head coach. It seems like we do. I think that we do. And then the question is, do we have the right guys evaluating the talent? And we'll see what happens with that. But I think that ultimately we're in this situation that I feel like we're there. And we have a long way to go. And there's the talent across the board still isn't there, but I think we're getting there. And I think another year or 2, we'll be in that situation where we can be one of those best teams in the league if we continue doing what we did this offseason.
And you go back to, previous times in this franchise, and like since like the past 5 years, the feeling has been, man, all right, if everything goes right, our quarterback might be good enough to give us a chance in this game.
Yeah.
And just the 180 on that from, yeah, you throw Drake Maye out there with 10 guys from Foxborough High, and I think we might have a chance still.
Right.
Like, feels good, feels dangerous.
Yeah.
If I was a Bills fan right now, I'd be nervous that your Super Bowl window, not that it's closing, you've got Josh Allen,
of course,
but that it just got significantly more difficult, that you may not, we'll see what happens this year, but starting next year, you may not be able to count on having your first playoff game at home.
Well, listen, I mean, this is, so two things. Number one, my dad texted me at the beginning of the show, and he's totally right. Like, imagine being the Bills and feeling like you finally are there. You finally have taken the control of the AFC East over the Patriots that you couldn't beat for 20 years. And you've had it for 5 years now, right? And now all of a sudden he's gone. And you feel like, oh crap, like here we are. Like that window might be closed as far as destroying the rest of the AFC East and just walking into the playoffs, right? Like that isn't there anymore. And the Patriots are here. And what the heck? And I think something that Dave Portnoy pointed out, which I thought was just interesting, is he said, how many times did the Bills have a situation where they felt like this can be our measuring stick game? We can go into New England or we can host the Patriots, and we're going to prove that we're good enough to hang with them and play with them. How many times did they do that during the dynasty? And they could never win those games. And the Patriots, with their young quarterback, get an opportunity to go into Buffalo and prove they can do it in prime time, and they go up and do it. It's just like, oh my God, man. Great night all around.
I'm thinking about how many of those games did AFC East opponents win against New England in the dynasty?
Like not almost many. None.
I think you have to I think 2010 divisional round, Mark Sanchez.
Yep.
What a name these days.
It's a big one.
And the Jets. That's one that comes to mind. Probably also, I don't remember the 0-2 regular season close enough, but I would guess they probably lost one because they lost the tiebreaker for the division that year.
I think Miami they lost to that year, yeah. The Jets at home in 2008 to Brett Favre in overtime was definitely one that they lost. But
if we're talking measuring stick games, like that's Brett Favre and that's no Tom Brady. Sure. I'm talking about games where it's the young quarterback on the road coming into your building and winning a game. I think maybe that Mark Sanchez won, unless Chad Pennington did it in 2002, which I don't know off the top of my head.
It's a good question. I'm not sure about if it was Chad Pennington or not. By the way, the Chiefs just got away with it.
He did, actually. Yeah.
Chiefs got away with an obvious defensive pass interference that wound up in an interception. Like not even close. Pretty wild.
All right, so I think this happened twice because Chad Pennington and the Jets came into New England primetime week 16 in 2002.
Okay.
30 on New England and won that one, and then ended up winning the division because of that. So that's two Jets young quarterbacks that did it and were never quite able to follow through.
I still think Pennington would have been really good if his shoulder didn't give out on him.
Well, that's why you look back. Like Pennington's the injury, and that Mark Sanchez team, they weren't winning because of Mark Sanchez. They were winning because of the defense. Mark Sanchez was just there. So this is not something that happens very often, I don't think, as a young quarterback going on the road to an established vet like that and getting that primetime win. This is just – we should feel very good about this. Even again, we can get into more X's and O's and the Saints game later this week, but you have to feel very good about where New England is.
I think so. Again, it's not a fluke. This isn't a fluke. This is the Patriots just playing really well. And so
Drake Maye, it's just like you got QB1, you got a wide receiver 1, you got a real chance against anyone in this
that's correct. Yeah. So we'll see. Anyways, and of course you got to stay healthy and everything else too. So who the heck knows? But But anyways, all right. I think that's it. I think that's all we got tonight. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Appreciate it. We'll be back Thursday night. Yep. And then Matt will be. I don't know if you'll be alone or if you'll be with a friend.
Solo post game.
But I will be in New Orleans, so I will not be. I will not be there. Post game show. I'm very excited. I'm going to Death Valley on Saturday night to see LSU take on South Carolina, which is going to be awesome. And then I'm going to see the Patriots play the Saints on Sunday. And so I'm very excited. It's going to be a terrible travel weekend. My flights are just horrendous flights. But it is what it is. What are you gonna do? So gotta get down there somehow. So anyways, well, thanks for tuning in, everyone. Great Patriots win. A lot of hope this week, and that's something the Patriots have had, but it's really been kind of unjustified hope. Feels like justified hope today, which is really fun. So it's been a great day. But thanks for tuning in, everyone. We appreciate it. Thank you to the chat, as always, for tuning in and keeping the chat lively. We appreciate you. And we will talk to you on Thursday. Be good to each other and go Pats.